Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Lost Art Project Veterans Voices. I'm your host, AJ Cox, and today we're having a fireside chat, and this one is going to be really cool. We already talked about some of this on Thursday, but that's okay. We're going to jump into it. We have some special guests. It's going to be awesome. But if you're enjoying these podcasts, go check out our website. That's the Lost Art Project, veteransvoices.org. Go check us out, see what we're all about. We are a new nonprofit, so if there's any way you can help us out, it'd be much appreciated. A big shout out to the Valhalla Project out there doing amazing things. If you don't know anything about them, go check them out. Even if you do, go back and check them out. I'm telling you, they're an amazing organization, a great team that they have up there. But you got to find them at tribulations.com.
Are you a Marine veteran? Are you missing that bond you had on active duty? Then I have a place for you. Join the only congressionally chartered Marine Corps Veteran Service Organization, the Marine Corps League. Get that brother and sisterhood back in your life. Become one of the fewer, the prouder, a Marine Corps League member.
Man, here we are. We got the crew and we got our special guest, but we'll go ahead, go around and see how our crew's doing, and then we'll introduce a special guest. Sensei, how's it going, man?
Good. Life is good. Been a productive week, productive weekend. We got a bunch of rain just a little while ago. Some kind of storm cell camped over us for about 30 minutes, completely overdid my gutter system. Overwhelmed my gutter system, water coming over the edge of the gutters. I mean, it was torrential. Let's see what else going on. Got a high school concert, or actually my band program concert's coming up on Thursday. All of you, if you're in the area, you're welcome to come to the concert. Let me know. I'll save you a seat up front. Gonna be a good show. And then I guess that's about it.
All right, sounds good. We'll jump over. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good here in Southwest Georgia. Still got some of the fires down south of us, but
really,
we don't have anything up in this area. But we actually got a little bit of rain yesterday. It wasn't anything extravagant, but we could use what Vic got. We haven't had rain in almost 2 months now.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh!
So it's getting a little dry.
There for a while, you were getting rain pretty much all the time.
Yeah, for beginning of the year, but we haven't had anything for 2 months now. So they basically drew a line across from like Atlanta south, and it's almost all the counties are like fire bans. You can't burn yard trash. They don't even want you cutting grass. They don't want you cutting grass. They don't want you doing anything. So
wow, it is pretty bad if they don't want you cutting grass. Man.
Like, well, you don't have to tell me twice if I don't have to cut grass. So,
that's what I'm talking about. All right,
other than
awesome.
that, I can't complain. Everything's good here.
Good. All right, Jess, how you doing over there?
It's a great life. So,
all right.
No, I just got off the phone with our scout in Arlington, Virginia, who's doing the mapping project, and he's figuring out how things work. And then our original scout is going up for Scout of the Year on the national level. So we're hoping that comes through. And then I got another one coming up in next month. So I think we're going to crack 10,000 to 12,000 stones this summer. So, and then we'll have structured data for the VA, because right now it's all lost.
Yeah,
so it's
be
exciting to be on the ground level on this.
It's got to continue to grow. That's a great program, man.
It's, like I said, it's fun. And these kids are learning leadership at 14 that it took me until my mid-20s to figure out. So
they're
different styles. And when you see a 14-year-old quarterback in a project in a cemetery and talking to adults like he knows what he's doing, I'm like, that's exactly right, bro. So it's pretty cool. We're gonna see where it goes.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. All right, thanks. Now, I mentioned on Thursday, Major Capers is getting upgraded Medal of Honor, and there's a team behind that, and we are lucky enough to have that team with us today. I'm very excited. I'll introduce Lieutenant Colonel Brooks Tucker. How you doing, sir? Can you hear me? Brooks? No, nothing. All right. I don't know. Can you hear me now? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. See if Brooks can hear any of you guys.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Brooks has got frozen here or not.
Oh,
I think he's moving.
I'm going to go to Bryan.
Yeah, I hear you guys.
Okay. There you
is.
go. All right. How you doing, sir? You can't hear me. Oh, that's
he said he can't hear us, but yeah.
Well.
So AJ, while we work that technicality out, let me introduce the team. If
Absolutely. Thank you.
And maybe Brooks can get that worked out with you all. Well, so he first. He's the longest standing member of the three that are on your podcast tonight. Retired Marine Lieutenant Colonel. He has a biography out of this world, a slew of wealth and experience, both in obviously the military and in a political dynamic also. Brooks is currently in his retired life also served, I think, as the commissioner for the Battle Monuments Commission, or the president, whatever that lead title is. That obviously takes up some of his time, but he was a former chief of staff for the VA. He was part of the Trump administration, maybe the first Trump administration, and is still affiliated with that as well. And so he's all over it. And he's been a critical member of this team, not just from a military perspective, but his contacts and connections across the river into the House and the Senate. Sergeant Major Scott Frye, of course, retired Marine Sergeant Major as well. Again, just a wealth and wide breadth of experience too. He's been on a team just about as long as I have. Worked a year now, and he had over 30 years of active duty in the Marines. He finally retired out of U.S. Northern Command and NORAD. That's our geographical combatant commands that have a huge, large responsibility with protection of the country and beyond. Mm-hmm. And then me, I retired as a Marine Sergeant Major as well back in 2016. So it's been about 10 years of retired life for me. Things certainly changed for all three of us. And just as a side note, I was noticing, Mike taking a sip of his beverage. It looked like a scotch on the rocks to me. He may be the one doing the best of all of us right now.
Well, I didn't mention it to you guys earlier, but we don't discriminate, and you can drink. So I do have my cup of my favorite beverage. So you guys are more than welcome. We'll even give you time if you want to go get it.
No, I was drinking with sweet tea. I don't know what everybody's talking about.
You lie.
Well, I find
the bootleggers drinking sweet tea.
I find it a very effective tool, because even if the podcast doesn't go well and you're having some adult beverages, you can always write it off as an alcohol-related incident.
There you go. See, man, takes a Sergeant Major right there. That's what I'm talking about.
Not that we've ever had any of those. So
the amount of E9s collected right now concerns me about this right now. Alcohol-related incident E9 level. It's concerning.
Brooks, do we have comms with you now, Brooks?
What was that?
I was just comm checking Brooks to see if he may be on the net.
He said he could hear you, but he couldn't hear me. So he's going to log out, log back in, and we'll see where it goes. But Sergeant Major Scott Frye, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited that you guys are here. I'm excited that you guys are going to kind of share what's going on. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm grateful for the invitation. It's a great story to talk about. Absolutely. And we're all extremely, just proud to be a part of something like this. And so thanks for the platform to be able to, let a wider audience know what we've been up to for quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. This is fantastic. And then Brooks, you're back, and I'm assuming you can hear me now.
Yeah, everything seems pretty good. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Bryan, for taking up the lead there. Appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
Now, Brooks, you're the lead on the whole team. Is that correct?
No, I can't claim that dubious
Oh.
distinction. There's a guy named David Gerfine who coincidentally, he and I
Okay.
were lieutenants together in the same battalion. He's been really the motivator, the energizer bunny for this for many, many years before I got involved, and then before Scott and Bryan got involved. But
Okay.
yeah, I have led on some elements and lanes, but not the whole thing.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I'm excited. Like, how is it that you gentlemen got involved, like getting on the team and stuff like that? I mean, I'm kind of interested in that. I know that Mr. Gerfine was he was working on it and everything, but how did you all get involved?
Hey, Bryan, I'll just start since I think I was the first guy, and then you guys can go in order, I guess, of your insertion. But as I said, Dave Gerfine and I were lieutenants together, infantry officers in 1-6. And he and I had stayed a little bit in touch over the years. We lost touch probably in the last 5 to 10 years. But I was on LinkedIn in October of 2024. And I noticed he was posting about major capers. I knew nothing about major capers, but I started looking at this, and Dave's a pretty prolific poster, so he kept posting stuff for weeks. And at some point, I just thought, I got to find out what this guy is doing. So I messaged him on LinkedIn. We got connected on a phone call. It probably took an hour catching up, and then an hour about capers. And since I worked on the Hill a little bit, I said, hey, well, you're trying to get congressional approval for this waiver for this Medal of Honor. I said, maybe I can help you out. So that's really where that started. And then from there, the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then, and who was next that came on the team?
Scott,
I don't know. I think it was Scott, maybe, right, Scott?
Okay.
No, it wasn't me. Bryan actually talked me into it. I was, sitting at home, and he was, trying to cobble together getting some senior enlisted to put our signatures on, a letter of support to the President of the United States. And so he sent me an email that, coincidentally, I was having some email issues that I was working through. And then I got a text message, from him that essentially said, hey, knucklehead, are you gonna answer me or what? So I called him up, and we talked, and obviously, if Bryan's behind something, I don't have to, there's no skepticism or research. I just wanted to be fully on board, but I started asking a lot of questions and reading a lot of the background information on, what had, transpired prior to him getting involved. And I think shortly thereafter, I wound up getting introduced to the team as a fresh ear to the process.
Nice. Okay. Very good. It's all Bryan's fault then. Is that what you're saying, Scott?
Yeah.
He's
Well, look, don't let him fool you. This was, I can't even call it a sell, but it was certainly an easy sell. Once Scott started looking at documents like the Medal of Honor comparison chart, it was obvious how can I not help, and how can I get involved? And I too, like Brooks, linked up with Dave Gerfine via LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn's getting some free advertising here tonight.
Yeah, they are.
That's the platform, and I came across it, and again, did a quick read, reached out to Bull and said, how can I help if in any way? Because I made a connection going back to 2006 when I was assigned to 2nd Marine Division as its Sergeant Major. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, which I didn't know then, AJ, that's when a rewrite and research and a resubmission for an upgrade was being done at division headquarters on major capers.
No kidding.
Now,
wow.
Unbeknownst to me, I really didn't get involved in those officers' award submissions and fitness reports and things like that. Mm-hmm. If I would have, I would have been involved certainly a lot longer. But it almost made me feel responsible and obligated and committed, in a way that I had to jump on board here and see how I can help out. So with the efforts of more than just us three, it's a much larger team.
Right.
But Scott and I kind of came in and served as contributing enablers to the effort. And like Brooks said, the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I know that now, Brooks, you said you worked on Capitol Hill at some point in time. So you have kind of an overview of how everything runs up there. But I imagine along the way, as you guys were working this, there had to have been some bumps. There had to have been things in your way. You know, what were some of those bumps that happened?
Well, I'll just talk about the congressional side. I mean, there are a lot of other bumps and
Yeah. Yeah.
actual brick walls and minefields and ambushes and all that stuff. But and friendly fire too.
Oh,
But
nice. Okay.
but the reality is that you've, in order to do this, if the award is not presented within 5 years of the action that the award specifies,
Mm-hmm.
that you have to get congressional authorization for the award.
Right.
And there are a lot of people who think that a lot of other people deserve a Medal of Honor. So there is a lot of skepticism on Capitol Hill when someone shows up on their doorstep or in their inbox and says, "Hey, I got a guy who I think deserves a Medal of Honor and we need your help."
Right.
So there's skepticism, number one. There's
Mm-hmm.
also a bandwidth issue with staff you have to deal with. And then there's just basically anything like this gets tracked over to the Pentagon, and those folks over there get to render their opinion to the congressional staff about
Right.
what they think of this proposal. And I will just cite this one thing because I think it is the nexus of the problem that led to all the mini and maximum obstacles we faced.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Major Caper's award had never been processed properly to begin with, and Bryan and Scott can probably speak more to this if they wish. But he had been given an end of tour award. And
Oh.
the end of tour award did not specify a specific event of valorous action. It specified a number of engagements and service and missions, but never specified one valorous action that could have been, I guess, lifted out and put back into a Medal of Honor
Mm-hmm.
package.
Wow.
So 50 plus years later, we're trying to reconstruct all this. And just very quickly, Ryan talked about the effort in 2006, 2007 in 2nd Marine Division. They attempted to resurrect this Bronze Star Medal with Valor device from Vietnam, end of tour award, and process it as a Medal of Honor. And there was a lot of effort that got put into that. But they, administratively, they didn't have their process down right. So they submitted it almost as a cut and paste of all sorts of actions he had been involved in. Well, Medal of Honor can only be one specific action. So they failed at that point and they came back and they tried it again. And then it went up to Headquarters Marine Corps. And along the way up there are people in the bureaucracy who very candidly, I think, are quite stingy about Medal of Honor or any kind of Valor Award upgrades. I think you might have heard recently that some folks from Abbey Gate had upgraded awards. Took 2 years.
Wow.
These are NAMs and Navy Commendation Medals and so
Holy
forth.
cow.
So there is Bryan can speak more of this if he wants to, but there's a culture of no, I think, both in the Department of Navy Boards and Decorations Board and in Headquarters Marine Corps Manpower Reserve Affairs boards on upgrades of Valor Awards. I'll just say that emphatically. There's a culture of no or a culture of we can't do it or find a reason not to do it. So Caper's award, because it was an end of tour award, the bureaucracy, the awards experts said, well, we don't have any new information to justify elevating this to a Medal of Honor from a Bronze Star. That's a pretty big move. What new information do you have? And that went to 2 different efforts through Congress in 2020 timeframes to get this Medal of Honor looked at, this Bronze Star looked at. And both times, the Secretary of the Navy came back and said, we can't do this because there's, quote, no new information. That narrative percolated over to the congressional staff who asked Department of Navy about it. Of course, they got the same story. So their attitude was, well, there's no new information. We can't help you.
Wow.
That is basically the nexus of the problem here with this guy's case is, and that led to a number of efforts to basically, we decided at some point to just go around that obstacle versus try to go through it. And that's where Dave Gerfine, after some talks I had with him, he developed this idea around the comparison chart, which shows Caper's actions racked and stacked alongside 7 other Medal of Honor recipients from Vietnam, all of them small unit leaders, many of them officers, junior officers, or staff NCOs, staff sergeants, gunnery sergeants. And the picture shows a glaring disparity between similar actions, but completely dissimilar award.
Wow.
And I would just say, in credit to the Marine Corps, to some extent, they did upgrade this medal in 2009 to 2010 to a Silver Star. But in talking to one general officer I know, who I don't want to disclose his name, but coincidentally I know him, and I was talking to him about capers. He says, "Oh," I said, "I know about that." He said, I was on that board. We could never get to the Medal of Honor for him. And I asked him why, and he said, well, we compared him to all these other recipients, which was interesting, and we just didn't think his actions rose to that level. And at that point, Dave Gerfine and I talked about this comparison chart, but it didn't exist at that time. And I said, well, what about Lieutenant Graves, Terrence Graves, who was another recon platoon commander in Vietnam? This is the last point I'll make, and I'll turn it over to you guys and the other 2 gentlemen. But he said, oh, yeah, he said, but Graves died. And I said, well, why should that make a difference?
Yeah.
He said, well, we just didn't think that, this was at the level. It's almost like these guys created this illusory image of what a Medal of Honor recipient is supposed to be like. And if you lived, maybe you didn't do enough. So I'll end there and you guys can talk about it more.
That's an interesting take on awards, especially the Medal of Honor. I find that crazy in my mind, but yeah.
Well,
Bryan,
the procedural errors, AJ, were the mother of all obstacles that we really had to overcome and help folks see that procedural error made a whole lot of sense, that allowed opportunity to readdress and look at that Medal of Honor comparison chart. Really got us some momentum, because it was a pictorial that didn't lie, and it really showed data and fact when you look at the other Medal of Honor recipients around that same era. Scott, jump in and you describe your biggest obstacles.
Yeah, I think those were, Brooks, that was pretty comprehensive. At some point, this no new information narrative, the more we discussed it, and it was pretty clear, using the comparison chart and other metrics that we were looking at, that there was no new information necessary. The case was there, so they didn't need anything new. And the fact that there had been so many procedural errors, we kept pointing that out to a number of different people along the way in this process. And I think we're there now, but sadly, it's almost 60 years later.
Right.
And it's when the president called Capers, on Monday, we were all, I don't think we're a bunch of mushy, emotional guys, but I think everybody was looking at that with a lump in our throat. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I really, all this time, almost 60 years later, and now in order to stand to get the medal, he needs assistance, because this process tracked the way it did. So I've kind of, we've had a chance to look at some of these valor boards and understand that, there's some changes in procedure, mentality, maybe even staffing that needs to take place there. And I know And same goes for institutions like the Army, the Marine Corps, certainly that Valor Board. Sometimes, when you're wrong, you just have to admit it.
Right.
And, and there's, Marine Corps does a lot of good, great things, and we're proud to be Marines. But, if you're wrong, if you made a mistake, if you got it wrong, then, stand up and correct it. And I just wasn't seeing, enough of that inertia by key people that we were, messaging with, that were willing to say, yes, we were wrong. Yeah, and we need to make this right. But this team kept pushing, and we're there.
Yeah, and thank goodness you guys did, man. I got to see the video. I played the video on Thursday of Major Capers getting the phone call. Thanks for sending that to me, Bryan. I saw that and I almost jumped out of my seat. I was excited just to see it. But thanks for sending it, and I got to put it on the podcast for everybody to see.
So I'd close out that question, AJ, with one is many have said, even after the phone call from POTUS took place, that we Team Capers, we got Major Capers a Medal of Honor, and that couldn't be any further from the truth. He got himself the Medal of Honor, and that's obvious. We just helped navigate some of the roadblocks and obstacles.
Yeah.
And made the right folks see the light as to this is the right thing to do. But to Scott's point, it shows that our reward system, although it's been around for a long, long time, is certainly flawed. And this will continue to happen if the award system is not, the rules and regulations governing is not purged. And then when you get the wrong personnel that are making decisions and or recommendations to decision makers, if that's the wrong personnel, they'll add complexity to it and make the system appear even that much more flawed. And so we have to police that up, and we're hoping that comes as a follow-on mission at some point with Department of War, and it will help because as you can see, and as Brooks alluded to, even something as recent as Abbey Gate, when you get folks in that decision-making process that look for ways of why we can't instead of how can we, that mindset really has to change. So I'm very proud to say one of the obstacles that we were able to overcome was due to one of our former commandants, General Conway. General Conway was actually the sitting commandant at the time when his Silver Star was upgraded. Or upgraded to a Silver Star, and it's known that he didn't have all the information that was presented to him in order to make an informed decision or recommendation to SgtMaj. And if he had to do it all over again, he would have chosen to surpass that Silver Star and at least get the MOH before a review board. And he was one of the ones that in retirement came back in, got engaged and said, hey, this is partly my fault. I made a poor decision because my staff misinformed me, not pointing fingers, just taking ownership. That's what a Marine does. And it goes back to Scott's earlier remark that, sometimes when folks are wrong, you just got to man up and say, I'm wrong. Let's make this right. And so thanks to him, we were able to not sidestep, just overcome a major obstacle with that procedural error.
Wow. That's incredible, and that's good leadership right there. To go ahead and say, hey, that's my bust. I'll take ownership and, let's move forward and fix the problem. Very important. Oh, man. Now with, I had a question here. Sorry. Did you receive, what was your overall impact from the veteran community? I know that you sent that letter out for senior enlisted, those types of things, but overall, how was this received in the veteran community?
Well, I wish I could say we had a lot of support. I think the concern, having worked in DC a little bit with veteran service organizations, veteran community, is there were folks we asked to support and write a letter or help us with Capitol Hill. And I'm not sure what the reticence was about it. I don't know whether they've got a number of things that they're tracking and trying to accomplish, and they have their own bureaucracies. The success we did have was through a personal relationship on the team with Vietnam Veterans of America. One of our teammates is a Vietnam veteran naval officer, and he has been in the VVA organization for many years. And he was able to reach out to a friend of his who works for the president or the executive director of the VVA. And they were very helpful in, I would say, the final like 20-yard push with SecDef SecDef Sec War and with the president in having letters sent. The interesting thing about this is that because they're a VSO, since I used to work at the VA in DC, I know people there, and they're in the current Trump team, but they came back after the first Trump team. And we got the Vietnam Veterans of America letter, and I got it to a guy who used to work for me, who's now the chief of staff there now in DC. And he had it delivered to Sec War's chief of staff because it was addressed to Secretary Hegseth on behalf of Vietnam Veterans of America about capers. So that's the kind of thing. I think the story of this, from the 133 senior enlisted leader letter to some of these niche little relationships and historical friendships in Washington. That's probably the untold story of this, is how, it's not what you know, a lot of times it's who you know. And even with a meritorious case like this, which most people would agree should never have a problem getting through the system, you got to know people in the system who can pull those levers to make sure it doesn't get stuck somewhere and just goes into a black hole. So those relationships we had at senior levels in Washington, D.C., some of the prior Marines who worked in senior levels of government were able to help us push this through the pipe, so to speak.
Right. Wow. That's incredible. But, it's a good thing that at least, the DVA was right there. They're pushing it, and especially getting it to Sec War, getting that information up there. I don't know. It's incredibly important to sometimes, if you hit the roadblock, hey, you just got to go a new approach. And I think that worked out fantastic.
Yep.
So,
yeah. When we started beating the bushes, the idea came up between us. Why don't we look at some senior enlisted from all the services? Even though Major Capel was a Marine, this was a universal all service branch sort of joint effort, and it had no specific service branch applied. And there wasn't much bush beating that needed to be done. Again, once these senior enlisted, as you know, AJ, seen the MOH comparison chart, it was kind of obvious. So the 133 letter, this was at a time when we just got word the White House was going to have a Purple Heart recognition ceremony. Major Capers was invited. It was a leap X because it was in 4 or 5 days, and I had just started out with Scott of collecting names and signatures from the senior enlisted. So there had to be a point where we had to get it typed up, names, units, identified, and all listed. That draft letter sort of smoothed between the staff and then mailed up and in the hands of the president before this ceremony started. And so while 133 is the final number, I'm going to tell you something right now, man. That letter, if we had more time, could have easily went into the thousands. Yeah, that was the veteran support that we were feeling, the vibe from back here onto social media. AJ, we had Lance Corporals and E4s, I mean, come and saying, I want to sign it, I want to sign it. But the philosophy of this was we wanted to show the president that all of these E9s were, in fact, personnel who sat on awards boards, made decisions and recommendations to their commanders of where this award should fall out at, and brought, that brought maybe a little bit of credibility to not just because they were E9s, but because they sat on awards boards and had a part and play in that. Scott, anything to add?
No, but I would say that well, yes, the VVA was Vietnam Veterans of America were very instrumental, and we're extremely grateful to those guys. And the sergeant majors that and senior enlisted that signed that letter. It didn't take much convincing. Those guys were, they were on board, and some of them had, high military decorations for valor themselves. Right. So it's heartening, to see that. At some point in this process, as everything was sort of taking shape, it began to, it's kind of like a rugby game, and and you're in a scrum and the ball's laying there. Somebody's got to pick that ball up, and put their head down and see if they can advance it. And, Bryan and I, had been listening. We meet often. We were looking for some unconventional ways to solicit some help for somebody that could, get into that scrum and pick this ball up. And we did find a veteran in the Pentagon. I won't say his name, but he's a retired sergeant major. And he did that for us. Nice. And he gave us some assistance that, where a lot of things were working and tracking at a pace that's certainly understandable based on the Pentagon, Capitol Hill, et cetera. But he put his nose down and picked that ball up, and he advanced it for us in a very meaningful way. And so there's a number of veterans that, that played roles, and he certainly is one that I think all of us on the team will long remember for what he did for this effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would just I'd just add to Scott's is a lot of this is just, a lot of life is luck and timing, and serendipity, if you will. And I think that things just seem to be coming together in a way that I don't think any of us could have foreseen. That kind of lodgement within the senior, very senior level staff at Pentagon was critical. And then almost going to say, it seems like it was simultaneously, Bryan and I did some outreach on the Hill and located a senator's office who was on the Armed Services Committee. And interestingly enough, we got a call with his senior staffer, and the senior staffer wouldn't even let us finish our pitch. He just said, "Hey guys," he said, "I already know the story." He said, "Just let you know, I'm a retired Marine colonel."
Okay. Nice.
And he said, he said, "Here's my advice to you. It's not if, it's when we're going to get this done."
Very nice.
And that guy personally carried water to the highest level in the Department of War, and had personal conversations. So at the same time that someone in that highest level at a staff position, that's who Scott mentioned, was working on this, we had other people from the congressional side who were having similar conversations with other people, maybe probably in some cases when those same people were all in the same room together, but they didn't know who was working which trap line was so-and-so, but it just it just came together. And I think I go back to that comparison chart. That comparison chart was our money chart. You showed that to anybody and they would look at it, and they could be an idiot about everything world not knowing in the military, but look at that and say, yeah, makes sense to me. Get them the medal.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I did when I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, you can't deny that one. That's for sure.
Yeah, AJ, I'm sure I'm sure you know this because you've had other conversations about this entire process. But The other guy, hero, Colonel Ripley, Marine, he's in this mix too. So he was elevated from the Navy Cross to the Medal of Honor in this same process. But since it's posthumous, and I'm pretty sure you guys know this, there is no congressional waivers that are required.
Oh, okay.
And so if your Valor Award is greater than 5 years, then you have to, it takes legislation in the Congress and in the Senate to authorize the president to be able to sign that. And so, but Capers is living. He's 88 years old. We've got a full court press. We want this man, we certainly didn't want this to turn into, another posthumous award. We wanted him to be able to get this and enjoy his just deserves, for, the rest of his life. And so, in that, we're just grateful it played out this way.
Yeah,
At times, I think, AJ, during the process, we were so persistent with whatever agency, and there's a balance in the sweet spot. You don't want to overdo it.
Right.
That could be detrimental. But I'm sure those agencies were, calling us a real pain in the ass. That, oh my God, if I hear the name Capers one more time today, and maybe we were a pain in the ass, and we should be, called Team Hemorrhoid and not, Team. But it obviously paid off. And while that's all peaches and cream, it's fair to say, as adult men we are, there are those that didn't support Major Capers, both from an individual and an organization. I don't know how they feel about it now. I should have jumped on the bandwagon then, if they're feeling any remorse or regret. But we were okay with that because we had so many that were in, our corner of the ring, that we didn't have to get stuck on influencing a crowd of non-believers,
right,
as small as it was, to get this across the finish line.
Wow. I was actually shocked when you look at it from a social media aspect, and you guys did a fantastic job on social media, pushing it out, making sure that, it was on every platform. I think every single platform that was out there, I saw different things about it, and it was consistent. So whoever's doing your social media did a really good job.
Yeah, I think all that credit goes to Bull pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's so well connected that when he tags folks, it just carries on. It becomes viral. I mean, it really does. It was a great way to communicate, and Lord knows how much the word has been spread just from social media.
Yeah. So and unfortunately, social media wasn't the same, back when they first started pushing this. So maybe social media had a little bit more impact. I don't know. But
there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
No doubt. I mean, that's how I collected in such short time. With the deadline, the 133 senior NCOs via LinkedIn and Facebook, and they just flooded my inbox, and so it was real easy.
Yeah. Very nice. Now, what advice would you have for folks that are out there that see it and they say, okay, this award got upgraded? What's your advice to individuals when they're looking at, hey, somebody else may deserve this, and I want to go through this process? What advice do you have for them?
Brooks?
Well, I think you got to do a lot of homework. The good news for us was someone had done a lot of that homework in the early 2000s at 2nd Marine Division, that they had, there was a paper trail of notarized statements from witnesses. There was the Navy Marine Corps Form 1650s that his surviving chain of command had endorsed for the Medal of Honor. And there was a fair amount of history that we could draw on from that time. And we fortunately had on the team Major General Jim Williams, retired, who was, I think, Bryan, was he the assistant division commander or division commander at 2nd Marine Division at that time?
Assistant, yeah.
Yeah. He had been involved. And one of the other things is his G1, who is a retired colonel, we accessed him. Kurt Lang is his name, and he had kept all the files, every bit of minutia that they collected
Wow.
on major capers. And I don't think his wife was too happy with him spending all this time with us, because she had hoped that the caper story was never going to come back. He had probably spent, you know, burned the midnight oil when he was on active duty working on capers, and
Yeah.
then we all of a sudden we showed up, wanting more of his time. But he gave us a lot of information that we were able to compile to
Wow.
substantiate a lot of this. So you've got to do your homework. You can't just be I think or maybe. You've got to have evidence. The problem with capers was that we did have two witness statements that were made again in the 2009 timeframe,
Mhm.
that were notarized and verified. But there's only two surviving members of his team today. Everyone else, including his officer in charge, two different captains who retired later, one as a colonel, and others who were in his battalion XO, was alive in the early 2000s, but they have all died. I think maybe
Right.
one of them may still be alive. But it's finding those witness statements and making sure that you can attest to their accuracy and validity, and then you've got to build the paper trail for it. And then you've got to, if it's beyond this 5 years, you've got to deal with
Mhm.
the issue of Congress, the issue of service biases, the no new information thing that may come up.
Mhm.
So it's an arduous process. I mean, I don't, I think that's why there's so few of these upgrades to begin with. There probably could be more, and we'll talk about that maybe another time. There are some more that should happen,
Right.
but it's also really difficult from Bronze Star to Medal of Honor. If you can
Oh yeah.
get, Silver Star, Navy Cross, I think then you're kind of within sniffing distance.
Mhm.
But when you're talking about a Bronze Star medal, um, especially that end of tour bugaboo that Bryan talked about, procedural error stuff,
Mm.
that gets really challenging. So I'll
Yeah.
I'll be quiet now.
Wow. Yeah. That's very good. Very good point. So, you got to have the procedures down, and you got to know them. So I'd say for any of those active duty guys out there, they're writing awards. Hey, sit down, actually figure it out the right way, do it the right way. Ask for help if you need help. Don't be too proud. I don't know. That's my opinion. But Scott, you got anything else?
Yeah, my advice, for anybody that might attempt to do this is, pick your team carefully.
Mm.
And, because that is really what I was just amazed at, listening to and watching how, for instance, Brooks would work the Capitol Hill piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then how other pieces, such as the media, lobbying our own service and coordinating with them and making the case, and then the Secretary of Navy level, and then the Secretary of War level, just to watch the members of the team sort of work those niches,
Right.
is why we are where we're at today. And so, we just have assembled a very special team. And I was just happy to be along for the ride. But that would be my advice. If you're going to try to do this, and it's a heavy lift, pick your team carefully.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, absolutely. Bryan, you got anything you want to add there?
There really is no sort of written job description for a team to be put together, or to submit an application, a resume for hire to be a Medal of Honor pursuit group. And we were very fortunate, and early on, and it's not the military you have to satisfy. To both their points, you have to satisfy a group of politicians who have various agenda of why I should do this, and it's not always because he's an American hero. That's why you should do it, because look what he did in sacrifice. That's why. There's other agenda that may be on the surface to make them say yes or no, to the waiver or to the medal itself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all before it reaches the president. So Brooks and Bull, or Dave Gerfine, they had teamed up and wrote an 18-page white paper. Now that document appeases to many others that a pictorial to Marines would be enough, right? And just give us some crayons to color in some of the metal. Yeah. But this 18-page white paper really satisfied, I think, a conglomerate of highly educated individuals that had a time to study this and make sure that they were making the right supporting decision. And mainly, I'm talking about Congress and the Senate. Right.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, shoot, I thank you guys for doing this. I mean, it's very noble that you guys took up the charge there and really pushed this. It's incredible that you got it done. It pushed it over, and I'm very excited. I know you guys are excited. You have to be. But thank you for what you did. I'll ask anybody on the team here or my team. Do you have any questions before we move on?
Hey, let me ask this. Let me ask this to my own team members just to socialize with you all. Is there a particular moment in this entire cycle that you felt was the creme de la creme? It was the turning point that really gave you assurance that this was going to happen? And I'm talking more than a phone call from POTUS earlier on of some stage or phase that took place. Is there one that you could pick out?
I think it may have been one or two instances, but I know that when this retired Marine colonel who works for a senator on Capitol Hill told me that he had been in a position to have a direct conversation with the secretary and the secretary's chief of staff about this case. And they expressed interest in trying to find a way to get it done. And then I also think that General Conway's efforts, he had a phone call with someone in the Department of Navy civilian leadership about this case when we needed it to get their movement forward. So those are two key outreaches, personal outreach, and it took a lot of effort to line these people up. It wasn't just sort of just happened, it took days, weeks. It took a lot of, and I would just get a phone call. All of a sudden, someone would say to me, "Hey, I had a good conversation today. I think this is gonna move forward." So I think we had a number of those, some of which we probably won't ever find out about. But those two, to me, the senior levels at the Pentagon conversation, personal, trusted comfort conversations between people who respect each other, and then General Conway's phone call to someone in the Department of Navy. I can't say those are the only tipping points, but I think they add a lot of weight to the case.
Yeah. What about you, Scott? Any peaks on a package?
No, I was a nervous wreck the entire time. I was always skeptical. We had a lot of people that would surface that made big promises and showed great interest, and then they sort of fade away. Yeah. And then I'd feel like we'd make some process, and then we'd go into these lulls where nothing was happening. Brooks, Bryan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We'd have conversations, we'd provide documentation, and then it'd be crickets for a while. And so I never had that moment. I tell you, until we were advised that the president was calling Major Capers that it was a done deal. I was then I finally started to take deep and full breaths, because you're just so passionate and so wrapped up in this, and always wondering, okay, what else might go wrong? Who else might step in and create a snag?
Yeah.
And so I really didn't feel comfortable, although I'm extremely grateful to a number of people that stepped up and lended some key support. But I never had that feeling like, okay, I think we're there. I just didn't enjoy those kind of moments.
Right. My feelings on it, AJ and folks, was there's a guy named Hung Cao. He is a very important individual within the Navy leadership chain of command, who's now the acting Secretary of the Navy. and he was a fresh set of eyes and a new set of ears that can look at a package compared to those that were had looked at it before. And I don't think he believed in this no new information. I do think he believed in why do we need new information? It's already here. And he helped catapult this from within the Department of the Navy, which obviously helped move it forward.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Hey, can I just quickly insert a little postscript to that? Brian, I was remiss, should have mentioned Hung Kao also, but this is the oddity of relationships on Capitol Hill. I know a guy who works for a senator, not the same guy we talked about a minute ago.
Right.
And I was telling him about the caper story, and he was aware of it, and I was trying to get him his help. And one day I get a phone call out of the blue from him, and he says, "Hey," he said, "do you think you would want to talk to Hung Kao about this?" And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "He's going to be confirmed by the Senate in a few days." And I said, "Well, how do I reach him?" He said, "Well, I have his cell phone. I told him that you were going to call him."
Nice.
So I called him up and I gave him the briefing, and he said, "Hey," he said, "I got on my list." He said, "When I get in the building, I'm going to start looking into this." And he did, and they did, and so on and so forth. So, a lot of just sort of stars that aligned and you didn't even expect them to. So I really think there was some providential intervention on a number of these moments.
Yeah. Holy cow. The big man upstairs was watching you guys, and he was going to make sure that you guys made it to the finish line. So thanks for doing it. It's incredible. We can do any last words, but before we do that, Sensei Mike, Jess, do you have any questions or comments? Nothing. And I can't see Jess. Yeah, Jess, go ahead.
Was because the nature of his unit is such a small unit, was that something that might have been contributing to the delay? And I'm coming from South Dakota. I mean, we're super excited that we have a new Medal of Honor recipient from here. So we're Captain Williams. I mean, that was delayed for as long as the Korean War. And then I'm seeing all these, they're just common stories throughout the community. Is that just because it just got delayed because of the small units?
Yeah, well, I think the issue with the small unit was you're onto something there. The reconnaissance units, as I learned of them from this period in Vietnam, were not large organizations, and they had, in this case, a change in the officer in charge. One captain left to go to division staff, and another new captain came in at the tail end of Caper's tour in Vietnam, and that new captain was not at all familiar with some of the operational actions that had happened with this team, this reconnaissance team. So I think that was his unfamiliarity, nothing intentional, just sort of happenstance that he formulated an award that was really beneath, probably should have at least been a Silver Star. And that's where this all started. And he was interviewed later on, years later, as part of this effort at Second Marine Division. And he said, looking at everything I know now, he said, I would have written him up back then. Yeah, I just didn't know.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in the LAR community, and we had a staff sergeant battalion who was a radio operator for Jimmy Howard on the reconnaissance community. And that's a very well-known story in 488. I mean, the story's been around for so long.
Yeah.
And it's not a kept secret at this point. So it just doesn't, justice delayed is justice denied. Valor delayed is valor denied too. I mean, it's the recognition piece. It doesn't seem
that's a good point.
Why we have to go through these broken systems.
Say again, Brian.
Yeah, it is maybe fragmented. I don't know if it's broken in a way that it doesn't work. It can be improved upon, and we're doing a disservice for those if they're getting awards at a lower commensurate level to that of their actions, in combat. And so we're not giving up on this. There's more that we can help, and look at us as hurricane chasers. We'll we'll just plug and play where we can. And we know there's a large veteran community out there that's willing to support.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think we're coming down to the point where I'm looking at the last recipients here. We've got Master Sergeant Edmonds. That one was a very famous in World War II, standing up for his soldiers in Germany. I mean, that is just the epitome of leadership and valor. Command Sergeant Major Richardson in Vietnam, Staff Sergeant Hollis in Afghanistan. I mean, these shouldn't be hard cases to make.
No, but sometimes the older they are, the older, the era of their battle is, sometimes makes it a little more difficult to find the evidence necessary to reach the threshold to get that award. Not impossible, just a little more difficult. And we experienced some of those, so it's doable, and we know that going forth.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing in my mind for everybody out there is you all have gone through it. You've proved that, hey, you can get this thing done. It's not just a concept. It's an actionable item that you can actually do. So thank you for all of you doing that. Any last words? We're going to wrap up here in a minute, but we'll go around in any order at the bottom, Bryan, Scott, or Brooks, whoever wants to go first.
Well, I'll sign off first and just, congratulate Mike again for sipping his scotch in front of all of us. And this effort again, fellas.
Sweet tea.
This effort by all of us was strictly volunteer. It's not a paid position. We did it because we love it of what we're doing, and we love the individual that we were helping. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All I would say is, it's interesting. And when you made the comment and the question about small units, Team Broad-Minded was involved in over 20 classified missions. Yeah. So I think it wasn't until like 2006 where they were actually able to declassify things and look at the totality of this man's, valor on the battlefield. And so I really appreciate the invitation to participate in this conversation. It's more of a process-driven type conversation. But what we enjoy much more is just talking about Major Capers, the American hero that he is. We want his story to be told. We want his story to be seen in documentaries on the big screen, in conversations like this. And so yes, it's a fascinating process, but far above that, it's one heck of a guy. That's gonna wear the medal of honor soon.
One heck of an American hero. You got it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good word. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't add anything to what both those gentlemen said. I think when you meet him and you hear him, he's a very humble person, but he's a very proud person. And I think it's a little bit bittersweet because his family is really doesn't really exist now. His son and wife have passed on. But I think he kind of looks at us a little bit like maybe his second family. But just a great guy. And we wanted to see this happen, as Bryan Scott said before he was gone from this earth. And so he could enjoy it, and other people could see him enjoying it, and he could have a legacy. So I'm glad he's going to have the legacy that he has.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's been great, fellas. Thank you guys for coming on and doing this. Now we do a thing at the end. Bryan's been on here before, so he probably already knows what's coming. But we do a thing at the end that we call Words of Wisdom, and we kind of go around. Everybody just gives their little spiel of words of wisdom. So if you guys are game, we can play the game. Yeah? No? Nah.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's AJ. Here's my words of wisdom.
Go for it.
Just never forget that weakness invites the wolves.
Ooh, that is good. Yeah, I like that. I like it. All right. Who wants to go next? Now, you guys don't have to go first. We can go up to the regular crew if you want to do that. So if you want to give some time to think about it, I shotgunned you. Let's go up. Sensei, you got something?
The difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has limits.
Okay, that's good. That's good. All right,
and that's
Mike,
in
what do
honor
you
of the
got?
plight that all of you went through to get what you got done.
Yeah.
You say that again, Vic?
I said the difference between stupidity and genius is that genius has limits.
Oh my God! All right, Mike, you got something for us?
Yeah, everything comes in time to those that know how to wait.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Now, Jess does a book report for us. So he always gives us a good book that we should read. Jess, you got something for us this week?
I got a banger. So, as a
banger.
proud son of the Blue Diamond, Guadalcanal has always had a special place in my heart. In my first Westpac, we did a burial at sea for one of our Marines' great grandfathers in the Iron Bottom Sound. So, I picked out No Bended Knee by Merrill Twining. It is a blow-by-blow account of the 1st Marine Division operations officer during Guadalcanal, and it brings out the legends of the Marine Corps in their operational setting on an island where they were left alone, and they fought their asses off, literally to the extent where a lot of them didn't have a great time. And as a son of South Dakota and Joe Foss, this is a special place for me. But Merrill Twining, No Bended Knee, ended up retiring as Lieutenant General, but I would highly recommend this as a reminder of our Corps' legacy, especially in World War II. So it often gets overlooked because of the Pacific and other books at the time, but Guadalcanal is a very interesting case worth rereading, especially from the operations officer. So that's my book of the week.
Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Much appreciated. All right, Brooks, you want to go next, or do you want Bryan to go next?
I'll go next. I've just been thinking about this. It's not a quotation per se, but my battalion commander in 1-6 was famous for saying that you can't lead effectively and legitimately unless you have what he called 3-2-1. 3 most important words: I love you. 2 most important words: genuine concern. And the first most important word for leadership is humility.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Wow, thanks for sharing that, Brooks. I appreciate it. All right, the man, the myth, the legend, Bryan, what do you got for us?
The difference between genius and stupidity is that genius has limitations.
That's a great one. Yeah, that was really good, Bryan. You bring your A game. I got to tell you, every time you're on here, A game. I love it.
And you weren't drinking any scotch either.
I want y'all though, within the next year or 2 years or so, to be on the lookout for the USS James Capers Jr.
Ooh, wow.
I mean, as part of naval tradition, it's only appropriate that that becomes a reality, and hopefully that won't be a posthumous achievement for him, and we'll all be able to witness it right along with him.
Wow, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you let us know what we can do here to help in any endeavor that you got going on. If you get in another case and you're trying to push it forward or whatever, you're always welcome here. So I appreciate you guys for what you did, and God bless you. And Major Capers, the man, the myth, and the legend, for real. So thanks again for doing this. For you, don't hang up on me whenever I do this outro. Stay on. That way I can talk to you after. But to everybody out there, if you're struggling, need help, anything like that, don't forget the VA does have some good resources. You can always dial 988, press option 1. You can always text 838-255, or go to veteranscrisisline.net, click on that chat icon. Any of those options will put you in contact with somebody that can help you out. But remember, one veteran life loss is one too many. I care about you. I know all these guys here care about you. The whole veteran community cares about you, so please reach out for help. And if you're out there, you're not struggling, reach out to a buddy you served with, ask them how they're doing. If they need a helping hand, please give it to them. One last time, thanks for what you guys did. Thanks for coming on the show. To the crew, thank you guys. Love you. To everybody out there, stay motivated. Change your socks.
Change your socks.
No more 22. Honor the journey and finish the fight.